You could not live with your own failure.
The Negro still is not free.
We were not brought here to be made citizens.
Doctors injecting our infants with the poison. Religion misunderstood as poison. Radio and TV poison. White Jesus poison.
Unconscionable. With Chuck Valentine
With Chuck
and
Valentine
J.O.
With Chuck
and J.O.
Valentine and J.O.
What part are you from?
So I was born in St. Lucia. I can't jump to New York and forget where I was born, but I was born in St. Lucia. And I moved to New York when I was 2 years old, and I grew up in the Bronx. So I went to, initially I went to a school called CS 177 when I was in elementary school, I believe it was, in the South Bronx. I grew up in like Bronx River Projects from age of 5 to like 11. And then I moved to the North Bronx, Northeast Bronx, and I attended Olinville Middle School, which turned into Richard R. Green. And then I went to Co-op City for Truman High School. Yeah, so I went to Truman High School. I graduated Truman, went to college in Virginia, and then moved to Atlanta the day after graduation. I knew I wanted to be in Atlanta, man, my whole life.
Wow.
That's deep. That's deep. Okay. Any college?
Yeah, in college, so I graduated high school. So the interesting thing is that when I graduated high school in 1998, I had what I would consider was a mentor at the time, somebody I looked up to, and I was asking a lot of questions about his path and the way he did it. His name was Patrick Sincere Thompson. He had a company called Frontline Marketing and Promotions, right? And in 1998, my senior high school, I would drive his promotional vans. Like, that was my job, right? Like, I was an intern for his company, and as an intern, I would drive the promo vans. And I remember promo van I drove was in high school, which got me like a lot of attention, was the Missy Elliott "She's a Bitch" van. And the van said "She's a Bitch" on the side. So I'm this 18-year-old little wiry ass, New York kid from the Bronx, and I'm in Harlem, I'm in Manhattan, I'm Low East, I'm everywhere with this van driving around. It says "She's a Bitch." I mean, that was really edgy back then. You know what I'm saying? So, it exposed me, man, just to New York, the real New York, right? I was really young. I was outside. And then I took a year off. I graduated high school in 1998. And instead of going straight to college, I decided to stick with Sincere and Frontline Marketing Promotion to get that experience. And I decided to then, after a year, enroll in Virginia State University. I got accepted to Clark Atlanta. I wanted to go to Clark Atlanta. That was my first choice, right? Like I said, I wanted to be in Atlanta. But my parents at the time told me that if I went to Atlanta, it would be too far for them to come and visit me from New York. So I decided to compromise, and I said, I go to Virginia. I go to Virginia State University. I had some friends there. I was like, all right, I'm going to be at VSU. Forget it. I'll make it happen. And at least my parents would be able to come see me, right? 4 years in college, my parents never came to see me. So I could have been in Atlanta, okay? I could have been in Atlanta from jump.
That's right. Yeah.
But
that's probably what you should have did.
Yeah, but it all makes sense. It all makes sense. I met my kid's mother in college, so I was able to have two people with, at the time, my girlfriend who became my wife after college. So, and it was an experience. I think Virginia State, for all people, all Trojans who attended Virginia State will tell you, man, Virginia State University is an experience. That's that school. I've been to a lot of different colleges. I've visited a lot of other colleges, and I don't really. It's not like I feel like, oh, I missed out. I could have been here. Nah. I had an amazing experience at Virginia State University. Like, it's an amazing college. It prepared me, I think, for the world in a lot of different aspects. So no, I would never switch my alma mater for anybody, like for anything. But I will tell you this though, I was done with the neighborhood, with the environment. that where the college was in. I wasn't trying to live there. I wasn't trying to stay an extra day. So like I walked across the stage, got my degree, and walked to full U-Haul truck. You know what I'm saying? My U-Haul was full. And I
You
was
wasn't staying.
bro, I didn't have a place. I didn't have a place to stay. I moved in with at the time, my girlfriend's best friend lived in Atlanta, and she was like, "Hey, just come and kick it with me for as much time you need to get on your feet." I was like, "Say less."
That's
Here I
it.
come.
Gone.
I'm on my
Gone.
way, you know. But I had a lot of friends in Atlanta too, so I could have stayed at almost anyone's house. But she was in a convenient location, and it made sense for me, man. So I got out here in 2003. I became a loan officer doing mortgages in 2004. Like literally, this first year I was out here, I got into real estate as a loan officer. I graduated with a degree in marketing. I graduated #1 in my class. But in 2003, there was no jobs that were like prevalent in business marketing. Nobody wanted to hire somebody straight out of college to handle any kind of marketing for them. So
That's right.
I got into marketing myself and became a loan officer and learned how to make money as a loan officer. And it took some time. I got fired, because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, and I had a racist ass manager. I'll put both together. I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, but he used the fact that I wasn't hitting certain numbers, which weren't expected of me because I was only there for 90 days. My parents never had a mortgage. You understand? I didn't know what a mortgage was. Imagine that. I'm talking to people on the phone about their mortgage and the equity in their home and shit that is completely foreign to me.
That's
You
right.
understand? We grew up in the projects, and then we moved into a single family home. My dad bought a house my senior year in college, like when him and my mother split. My dad waited for me to graduate, actually, at the end of the day before he moved on. And I was the youngest, so kudos to him for that. But at the same time, I wasn't exposed to that life. So me trying to learn sales, learn the sales pitch, which to them is just like, oh, you should learn how to sell it. It's just, you're just selling a product, right? Mortgages. And I'm just like, yeah, to somebody whose parents owned a house and had a mortgage, not to somebody who doesn't even understand the concept of equity, APR, real estate. None of that made sense to me. So it was a crash course in something that I loved anyway, but on the backside, I learned the finance side. And learning the finance side of how real estate works, how money moved in real estate, it gave me a completely different perspective. And I was like, oh, I get it. I get it. You don't need money to buy real estate. You just need a profile. You need to fit a particular profile. And it might be one that fits you and you don't even realize it. People will call me like, hey man, I want to buy a house, but I don't get W-2s, or I only get paid this way or get that. There are so many programs that fit your profile. You just got to understand which ones work. Even some foreigners with no social security numbers, you know what I'm saying? You think they can't buy a house. Yeah, they can. People, there's foreign investor programs. So learning the finance side of real estate gave me a ridiculous advantage. When the market started to turn and the mortgage meltdown came about, I could smell it a year before it happened because of the business that I was in. So I was able to kind of get out of that business as a loan officer and focus more on the real estate as a real estate agent and real estate investor. So I transitioned in 2007. From 2004 to 2007, I was completely loan officer. 2007 and on, I was hybrid. I was doing loans and I was doing the real estate side because
Investing too.
Yeah, because the loans are slowing down. Investing, it was very short term because I knew the market was going to crash and I was afraid to be holding too much real estate. Like anyone who was really, if you got a chance to be a loan officer and you was on the real estate side, and if you couldn't see the market was going to crash, then you didn't need to be in the business because there was signs. There was signs, okay? There was a lot of signs. Yeah, but I bought my first house at the age of 24, my second house at the age of 25. So, I'm 45 now. I can honestly say I've been a homeowner. I've been a property owner. Forget homeowner, right? I've been a property owner for 20 years. But more than that, I've been an investor for 20 years, and I've done hundreds of transactions as a professional as well as an investor myself, right? And I've learned a lot. And one thing I will say, and it's my tagline, is the stress is the best. If you're looking for real estate and you want to get into real estate, and it's going to be your first deal, and even if you're going to live in it, I don't care. You should be trying to find something that's distressed, because if it's distressed, it gives you a position to negotiate. If it's a retail home, you can still try your best to negotiate, but there's going to be most likely multiple buyers who are interested in the property, right? If you're the first person to get that distressed owner on the phone, or however situation you engage with them, you're able to negotiate with them based on the condition of the home. They can't
That's
just
right.
go off of the market anymore. They can't say, well, the house on my street sold for $300,000. I understand, but are you aware of the difference in condition between that house and yours?
That's right.
And a lot of times the homeowners are disconnected from that, and, the reason I say distress is because of it is often that the homeowner sees the house and not only is the house in distress, it creates distress for the homeowner. They don't even want to deal with it. They're just like,
That's right.
I'm just over it.
That's
I don't
right.
want to deal with this house anymore. So for me as an investor and for anyone who's on, who's watching us, I would say, if you're looking at getting into real estate, understand distress real estate. Understand what distress means and different types of distress. My focus has been for the last, few years, because I want to teach people, has been the tax deeds. So that's tax distress real estate. So that's a scenario where it should be pretty simple, right? In order to own real estate in almost every county, every state in America, you have to pay taxes. If you don't pay your taxes on your property could be subject for foreclosure. Excuse me, for
That's right.
auction, which is foreclosure. Hopefully people understand the difference, understand it's the same thing. But foreclosure is a lien holder of some sort, whether it's a mortgage lien holder or the county or a third party who's paid the taxes, who is now going to the county saying, I would like my money, and the
That's right.
county will step in to sell your property, and that is called a foreclosure, and it will be sold at auction, highest bidder.
That's right.
And I think that's the best type of real estate that you can learn off of, because it gives you an ability to first find distressed real estate, because it's a distressed scenario. They're not paying their taxes. That property is in distress, right? That is the
That's right.
first type of distressed scenario I think beginners should learn, because that distressed scenario provides you an experience that you can apply to other distress scenarios, okay? Because now you're picking up a property at auction, good possibility before you pick up that property, if you follow my game plan, is you're going to do your due diligence. You're not just going to go and buy a property because you have enough money in your pocket to buy it. You're going to find a list, you're going to do your research, you're going to find a list, you're going to create a short list based off of the list of properties that are coming up for auction. You're going to drive by all of those houses and go and take pictures and talk to neighbors and find out as much as you can about the properties that you have interest in. And then you're going to go to the auction ready to bid with a plan, with information that you've gathered from doing your due diligence. That's what's going to happen. And when you do those things, it creates transferable skills that you can use in other types of distressed real estate. So I like tax distressed real estate. If you're in Georgia, if you're in the state of Georgia, if you want to come out to the auction with me, I tell my people to register at the taxdeedfieldtrip.com. You guys can help share it with your followers, but it's taxdeedfieldtrip.com. And I tell people, before you come out to my field trip, do yourself some justice. Joe, you can let them know as well, because you completed my tax deed game plan, but it's best to complete the game plan before you come to the auction, so you have an understanding of what's going on at the auction.
That's right.
I'm not going to say there's anything there's no stupid questions, but what we're trying our best to do is have you come out there and make the best use of your time. So if you complete my game plan in advance, then you have something to build off of when you come to the auction for the experience. So that's the field trip. The field trip experience is you're coming to the auction with me. I'm not bidding, I'm teaching. So I want everybody to come in and learn how to bid, so that we can all come together as a group and bid together as one entity. Or I can do proxy bidding for investors who want me to bid for them. Or you as an investor want to learn how to bid for yourself. I give you the tools, I give you the understanding, the mindset to go out and bid for yourself.
Okay. I have a quick question. How much do you believe someone would need to have in liquid to just start?
Great question. To start in tax deeds, to start in tax distress real estate, I've seen people win properties for $5,000. I've seen people win, and when I say properties, let me explain to y'all. A property could mean a property with a house on it, or it could be a parcel of land. It could be a commercial parcel. I've seen it all. I've seen a lot of different things sell at the auctions. I'm letting you know, taxes on properties are on both residential and commercial and industrial and agriculture. All properties fall under taxation, guys. At an auction, don't say you just think it's good. people ask me all the time, can I get a commercial property? You can get anything at the auction. It just depends on if they're paying taxes. Now, a commercial owner is usually more sophisticated. So yeah, it's going to be less likely you find commercial properties at the auction, but there are still commercial properties at the auction. Commercial parcels of land that could be upzoned, where the zoning could be changed to update to the newer zoning or to a zoning that would fit within that particular parcel. Maybe a variance could be applied for. There's a lot of things that can be done with land, but yes, there's people winning properties at the auction that I go to all the time for $5,000. I think the average is that I would say it's best to have in pocket to come to the auctions, but it's more like for your first deal between $50,000 to $100,000. But I see deals for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 going all the time. There's minimum bids. I just was at the auction. The auction is the first Tuesday of every month. I don't miss an auction, and one thing I do is document the sales, and there's a term called minimum bid. So the minimum bid is the behind taxes, whatever the taxes were owed at the time, plus whatever county fees they charge. They charge some small admin fees to bring it to auction. But once it's brought to the auction, there's the auctioneer will call out a number, $15,966 minimum bid, right? And then the next thing you should say if you're going to bid is minimum bid. You will see a lot of people come out to the auction. The auctioneer will say $15,250, and the first thing that comes out of somebody's mouth is $20,000, $25,000. It's like, you just never know. And then the crazy thing is to be the person that says $25,000 and nobody say anything else. I mean, that you just gave them $10,000 extra
For no reason.
For no reason to rush. So it's people don't realize it's simple things like that. It's understanding the mindset, So don't go to the auction for your first time with a check in your pocket ready to buy something. No, come to the auction, do a tax deed field trip. I don't care if you're in my market or not. Still, subscribe to my field trip, subscribe to my game plan, and go to your market because it teaches you how to identify the auction and the process. It's the same process. It doesn't matter what state you live in. You have to go through the process to figure these things out. So what I'm telling you is I may have not done this in Kansas, right? But I understand the process and the procedure and the tools that I give you. You can do this in Kansas, all right? And I think that's what's important is that we have to identify where these auctions are happening, how often they're happening. In most states, it happens on the first Tuesday of the month, every month, except for, January here in Georgia. So we have a break in this month coming in January. The next auction will be February. But I tell you this, man, find it out. Find the legal organ in your state. That's what it's called. It's the legal organ. And that legal organ will provide you with the auction, the next up and coming auction. There's a couple of more steps. I promise you this, you won't waste your money going to taxdeedgameplan.com. That's taxdeedgameplan.com and buy my tax deed game plan while it's still $97. Because that's like a Black Friday special. It was $1,100, okay? And people were buying it because they were seeing value in what they were getting. My decision was to lower it down and get more people for this holiday to understand the value of, tax distressed properties. All right?
That's right. So now, if you win the bid, right? And now you gave us an example of someone who would jump the gun and like over bid by 10, 15,000. Now, does the owner of that property, do they have to still pay that amount plus the 20%, even though the person who won the bid paid over $10,000 of the minimum?
Yes. That's the interesting thing about the auction process. And let me tell you this, the owner had plenty of opportunity in Georgia. Let me be clear. The owner had plenty of opportunity to catch up his taxes before it got to this point. The process starts when the owner is delinquent on the taxes before, and that's when it becomes delinquent with the county. So you owe your tax to the county. You haven't paid the taxes. It's been 90 days. The county sends you out a notice. You're late. When the county notifies you that you're late, they also notify the general public that you're late. In the state of Georgia, any member of the general public can walk in and pay your taxes because they're delinquent. You just got to walk in there and pay somebody's taxes who's delinquent. And now that person owes that tax debt to you. And each month that goes by, you can charge an additional 1% interest on that unpaid balance. And if 90 days, each month you get to charge a 1% penalty. So it doesn't mean you're going to make 1% every month. But you're going to be able to cash in and it'll be 1% each month. But in addition, for tax lien purposes, every 90 days, I believe, or 120 days, this is the lien side. This is the lien side. This is not the deed side. There is no pathway to ownership by buying tax liens. There's no way for you to become the owner of the property because you paid your taxes.
Not even after the redemption period?
Remember, it's in the state of Georgia, it's a hybrid process. So it starts as a tax lien, and then after the tax lien, it becomes a tax deed. The way this happens is that the tax lien process starts when any third party pays the delinquent homeowner's taxes.
That's right.
The delinquent homeowner has 12 months to repay that total debt. If the delinquent homeowner fails to repay the third party that paid their taxes, that third party can then go to the sheriff and say, hey, he ain't paying me back. It's been a year. I need my money. The sheriff says, okay, hold on. Give me 30 to 60 days. Because what the sheriff has to do is advertise it to the entire public, to the general public, for 4 weeks in a row. 4 weeks. It is state statute. So after he's advertised, hey, everybody, Joe Schmo is broke. He ain't paying his taxes, and he owed Dave. 1 week. Next week, hey, everybody, Joe Schmo is broke. He got 4 weeks in a row of telling everybody that you're broke and you can't pay your taxes. You have the ability to go in and pay your taxes. If you do not pay your taxes up until the day of the auction, your property will be auctioned. The opening bid will be how much?
The amount
20% plus.
No, the opening bid.
Opening bid.
The
That's
opening
minimum, right?
The amount of the tax lien that the lien holder have already paid plus the 20%.
No.
Plus the 1% each
plus
month.
No 20%. Remember, we haven't got there yet. We're on the lien side. We're on the lien side.
Okay.
So the third party who takes over the lien gets 1% per month. But they also are able to charge an assessment of, I believe it's a 5% penalty every 90 days that they haven't been repaid. So not only the 1% per month, they get to charge a 5% penalty. So if they go 12 months, I think the total number is like 27 to 30% that they're able to charge in addition. So if they paid $1,000 in taxes, when they bring it to the sheriff, they're owed $1,300 roughly. Let's say it like that. Right.
Okay.
So the opening bid will be the $1,300 plus the admin fees owed to the sheriff for putting it in the calendar, in the newspaper, and for bringing it to the steps. There's certain admin fees. So that's what the opening bid is. Now the person at the steps who's bidding, the opening bid was $1,500. The person at the steps bid $10,000. He won the property for $10,000. The owner who is in the house, who wasn't able to pay $1,500, now must pay $10,000 plus 20%.
Oh, okay. Now understanding.
And that is called redemption. And he will be given, in the state of Georgia, they have 12 months to redeem. It's called a 12-month redemption period. So there now, the original owner, Joe, the original owner, has to find $12,000 to get his property back. Theoretically, the sheriff is holding the difference between what was owed in taxes and what was paid as something called surplus funds, excess funds or surplus funds. There's a bunch of people out there who try to contact the homeowner and assist them in accessing surplus funds, and they try to do these things. Leave that up to the lawyers. I think there's a lot of people out there selling that business model. It's great. I think it's better to leave up to the lawyers so you don't find yourself in certain legal areas. It is essentially available to the homeowner so that the homeowner can use that to pay back the high bid. So the homeowner essentially is going to get a check for $8,500 that now they got to pay the difference back to the original owner. Now the issue with that is in the state of Georgia is that process usually takes 9 months to a year. It takes them longer to get the money that's owed to them than they have to redeem the property. Unless you file suit, and again, like I said, you're working with a lawyer, somebody who can actually assist. I have somebody who helps with that as well. But the focus is, for y'all to understand, is the 12 months redemption. The original owner has 12 months to get their property back from the time of auction, and they have to pay the amount that was paid at auction plus the premium in the state of Georgia, that is 20%. within 12 months. Georgia's a very, very attractive state for tax deeds and tax liens because of what I just explained to you all in the process. After 12 months, it's your house. You own it now. After you follow some very small processes, some legal processes, but you own the property after 12 months.
Now, the original mortgage, what happens to that?
No mortgage. If there's a mortgage on the property, it's washed from a tax sale. A tax sale, like if you don't pay your taxes, that's a super lien. The mortgage lien holder, the mortgage company has the right to pay the taxes. They are an interested party. So
That's
they
right.
were in a position to pay the taxes. That's why you'll find people who don't pay their taxes who will have a house and there's a mortgage on it and they don't pay their taxes. The mortgage company will come in and pay the taxes and force onto them an escrow account. And now their mortgage payment goes from $1,000 to $1,500 because they wasn't paying the taxes, and the mortgage company doesn't want to be liable in the scenario where if you're not paying the taxes, the asset that they have secured can be taken away because they know the power of unpaid taxes.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah. Can the owner of the tax deed, while waiting for the 12 months, sell it to another person, individual, or corporation?
He can sell his interest in the tax deed, right? Which just gives the new person the same rights that he had in the tax deed. Yes, they can.
Okay.
Doesn't
And
necessarily
in the same
change.
timeline too.
Nothing changes.
Timeline.
Yeah, nothing changes. What do you mean? Within the 12-month period?
Yeah. Like
anytime they want.
Okay.
Anytime they want. As long as that tax deed hasn't ripened, they can sell their interest in that tax deed to another party. There's no restrictions to doing that.
Okay.
There's actually companies out there that'll fund that'll give you some of your money, but that'll loan you money against your tax deed.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you can go back in because they know your business. They know your business model. You're buying tax deeds. So they know what they just want you to, and obviously they're going to make some interest off you. But if you have, depending on how much money you have, and if your focus is going after properties you think you're going to be able to get them as opposed to them being redeemed, then it's not a bad idea. It just all depends on your business model. Mm-hmm.
I learned something new. Well, what kind of loans would that be? Like, what is that? How do you categorize?
It would be secure. It would be a secured loan against the title. It's a potential. It's title ownership. You have ownership in that property. You have ownership. The tax deed gives you ownership with restrictions. One restriction, the biggest restriction, is you have to give the original owner 12 months to redeem. Once that 12-month period is gone by and you file what's called a foreclosure of their right to redeem, it's a barment is what it's called, the foreclosure of the right to redeem. Once that's filed, the original owner can no longer lay claim to the property, right? There's a next step, which is a quiet title. That's why I said some processes. The next step is a quiet title action so that you can sell the property or you can refinance the property with a clean and clear title. So there is another step that is necessary if you plan to sell or finance the property, and it's called a quiet title action. And basically what that's saying is nobody can come from the past with a claim against the property, you know?
Right.
And the reason that is like a family member can be like, hey, I didn't know the taxes weren't paid. I was supposed to be notified. I wasn't notified, blah, blah, blah. And kind of like can legally go after the owner of that property to try to fight them, you know, in court for the property if you do not have a quiet title. There's certain scenarios where that's true. I know there's people who are in different markets. They might be like, oh, he don't know what he's talking about. That's the case in the state of Georgia. I do know that there are cases where people who have the ability and the deep enough pockets can legally exhaust you to an option of giving up your property, right? Because they're going to play on the law. And if they have deep pockets, it doesn't matter if they want the property back and they want to hurt you. Doesn't matter if they got to spend $50,000 to $100,000 in legal fees because they're going to make sure you drain your pockets. So yeah, there's scenarios. But if you file a quiet title action, nobody. Right? Nobody. It usually costs anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000, depending on the attorney you're working with, and if it's something that needs to be contested. Right? If there is somebody who shows up and it's contested, the lawyer is going to charge you per hour, and it could easily come. You understand? So, just an uncontested one could be $7,500. So imagine when it's contested, right? Okay, so. Yep. Two legal processes. One I just told you was the foreclosure of the right to redeem. That is a barment. That is a legal process in the state of Georgia that usually runs like $1,500 to $2,000. I don't want to misquote it because I'm not an attorney. I don't offer legal advice or investment advice, but I am aware of my experiences I've had in the past and what I've paid for, right? Attorney fees change all the time. and
That's
depend
right.
on the relationship you have. But these are things that people have to have taken into consideration if they're going to bid at the auction. Not just how much you're going to win the property for, but you also have to make sure you have some cash left over so you have the ability to pay for the foreclosure, and you can
Yep.
pay for a quiet title. You got to pay an attorney for these things. So there's a lot of people out there telling people we're good, but they're not giving them everything. I would hate to, misadvise somebody because I'm trying to get paid. I get paid anyway from what I do. What I want to do is share this with people because I feel like that we need more representation at these courthouse steps.
Quick question, Dave.
Mhm.
I haven't said much because this is all new for me. This is not my area of expertise. So I really appreciate all the information
Oh
that's
yeah.
coming out. So my question is, if I was new, um, with the desire to get into this business, what information resources would I have?
So since the transfer and sale of these type of distressed properties are done by a government entity, there's a process involved. If I'm new to this, instead of following behind some fake guru saying this is how I did it, this is what I did, I would learn and understand a process that already takes place. The first Tuesday of every month, there's a gang of people at the courthouse steps and they're bidding on properties. And those people are successful. They have capital. You'll see the same people over and over again. You'll start seeing the same people winning bids. I think that if I was new, and what I would do is I would find out when that auction is, where that auction is, which properties are going to show up on that auction, drive by those properties, learn from that process, and you're going to be 10 years ahead of the guys out here chasing these gurus trying to learn how to fix and flip.
Excellent.
Because this is something that worked no matter whether the economy is doing good or down. Right now, fixing and flipping, people who are fixing and flipping are holding on to some notes right now that they'd rather they weren't paying, okay?
Yeah.
Because they were hoping them homes sold 3 months ago or 4 months ago. So homes are sitting on the market longer right now. It's a dangerous market to be in. But on the tax deed and the tax lien, these type of sales, this type of niche, it doesn't matter if the market is good or bad, there's always going to be opportunities in tax sales.
That's right. Okay.
Excellent.
Cool. Yeah.
So your two websites that I noted are taxdeedfieldtrip.com,
Yep.
where a person can come and I think you said, I guess they would go to an auction and just kind of watch you and listen to you and, just adhere to some of your teachings. And then the other one would be taxdeedgameplan.com. Briefly, what is that one again?
So the tax
how's that
deed
different?
tax deed game plan is the prerequisite to the tax deed field trip.
Right.
My
Okay.
suggestion is the game plan is my game plan. These are the rules and the steps that I follow before I go to an auction. And these are the rules, and this is what I suggest that anyone who wants to learn how to get into the business follows. These are the prerequisites. These are things that I tell people, like the terms you heard me mention, and the legal organ. That's how you find the list. If you know whatever county you live in, I don't care where you are from, where you live. If you live in a county, it is almost a requirement that your county has what's called a legal organ, and that is how your county notifies the general public. That is where your classified ads are. That's where the county is telling you about felons. It's telling you about new sex registered offenders, any DUIs. You'll see name changes. You'll see LLC incorporations. All of that is public data that must be given to the public in a form that they can read. So yes, it's available online, but it also has to be available via print. Okay, so that is what the legal organ is. These are the things you learn when you go through my tax deed game plan. The redemption period. Understanding what a redemption period is. The fact that is your state of tax lien, is your state of tax deed state, is it a tax certificate state, is it a hybrid, is it a redemption state? So there's lots of things that when you complete my game plan, you'll understand, oh, I need to figure this out. Now I have a game plan. Now I know what to do. And again, the price will be back up Jan 1st. I'm not playing. It's $1,100. There's no reason why people should be trying to get into this business if they're not willing to spend $1,100. And that $1,100 lets me know you're serious, lets me know that this is something you're going to be really doing. And now I can give you other offers that are going to help you be in contact with me so that no matter what market you're in, you have somebody who's going to mentor you through it. You know, I'm not out here trying to price gouge people, but access is a thing. And right now, as I'm available, I have no problem of being available for people. But as time goes by and I get, you know, very busy, you know, I expect the price of access to me to go up a lot more, especially when I'm jumping on a plane flying to Africa, right? And I'm hitting
Right.
gold and copper in the ground.
Right.
Right. Right. Okay.
So,
All right. Do you have any other questions, Chuck?
No, I just really appreciate the time. I took a gang of notes. So my intent is to go through line by line, as well as check out the websites that is listed. Now, are you available? What platforms are you available? Besides
I'm
the
on
website?
Instagram. Good question. I mean, my social media handle is Dave the Broker. So Dave Broker, Broker, Dave the Broker. It's very simple. You can find me on TikTok with the same handle, as well as LinkedIn. My name is Dave Alleyne, Dave Alleyne. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. So yeah, I think a lot of people who probably come on here probably don't who big on social media aren't really spending enough time on LinkedIn. I do have a presence on LinkedIn as well, right? So yes, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok. I think the information that I share on Instagram is usually a little more in depth because I have been on Instagram long. I have a larger following on Instagram, but on TikTok, I'm trying to get more hip with a lot more of the advice, right? And giving people a lot more of these little tidbits as I gave you guys, but giving it to bite size because I want people to be informed. I want them to know what's going on. I think there's a lot of information going on out there, and good and bad, there's a lot of information, and I would just like to add to it by providing good information that people can hold on to and they can apply.
Awesome. So there you have it, Dave the Broker.
That's it.
Everything you need to know about tax liens versus tax deeds, distressed real estate, learning the
Yes.
finance side, finding a
Yes.
profile for buyers.
Correct.
Don't forget the
Correct.
12-month redemption period.
Yes, the stress is the best. The stress
Yep.
is the best, guys. Remember that. It's very important. I talked about tax deeds and tax liens because I believe it's a great prerequisite to get into distressed real estate. But, you know, once people join and they learn more about what I'm doing and I know they're serious, what I can do is I can hold their hand and share with them the other types of distressed real estate that I take advantage of, right? We do something called driving for dollars, where we drive around looking for distressed real estate. There are mortgage foreclosures of people who aren't paying their mortgages as a foreclosure type. There are probates where people have just, died and they've owned real estate, and there's a way to find probate leads and identify properties. There's code violations, people who aren't cutting their grass or their front door is left open and they have broken windows. There's cars on their driveway. Those are violations. And a lot of times people who get those violations get fined and they don't have the money to pay and they're in a distressed situation. So when I talk about distress is the best, I'm really talking about an entire genre of real estate that people don't understand or understand how they are related. So we're starting with tax distress, but we're going to move on and teach people more types of distress.
Okay, cool, man.
Fantastic.
Hey, man, we
Fantastic.
appreciate you coming on the platform. I definitely learn a lot.
Yeah. I learned a lot because I don't know anything.
Yeah, Joe's been out. Joe's been out to a field trip. You've been out once.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
he
That's
came
right.
out. He got a
Yeah,
chance to
yeah.
experience it. It's an experience, is it? Tell me. I mean, is it not an amazing experience?
100%. You're an amazing mentor. Yep,
Thank you, man.
definitely
Thank you very much.
show people the ropes. Dave the Broker, if anybody needs anything tax lien, tax deeds, please reach out. Did you want to leave your email or a phone number?
I was just about to say that. So I am also a traditional real estate broker here in the state of Georgia. So I help buyers, I help sellers, I help investors. My focus is investors. I will tell you that. However, I like to work with sellers of any type. If you want to sell your home, I have no problem working with you. If it's a distress situation, I have no problem representing you and helping you get the highest price you can possibly get for your property. But my focus has always been the distress and been in the investment realm. So yes, I do a lot of investment coaching. I help clients who are looking to get into fixing and flipping, regardless. I'll give you my advice on it, but I'll still help you and give you all the resources. I help clients who are looking to get into duplexes, triplexes, quads, who are looking for multifamily opportunities. So I think from a real estate standpoint, I am a full service real estate brokerage. You can find more information at realtimerealtyga.com. That's my real estate brokerage's website. Again, that is, just so you know, my email address is dave@realtimerealtyga.com. So Realtime Realty, GA as in Georgia.com. And my phone number is on that website. My contact information is on that website. Another thing is when they visit Tax Deed Field Trip, there's a questionnaire that you get a free tax guide. Please complete the questionnaire, because that questionnaire gives me information about who you are as a potential investor, as a potential student. I like to know and get as much information as I can about you so I can kind of create different offers that make sense for you. All right.
Fantastic.
All right.
Guys,
Once
thank y'all
again,
so much.
no, thank you. Once again, it's been an awesome experience, learning something new from my standpoint, and just listening to somebody who's obviously passionate. So we appreciate that. I'm
I
serious.
appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all so much, man. Yeah, so let me get my dinner started now, man. I thank y'all so much, man. Can't wait to see it. Cut, and let's talk about the next time you're gonna come out, Joe. And Chuck, man, when you're ready, I'm here.
Okay. Soon as I get some money.
Definitely.
You don't need
All
no
right.
money, man. Get the experience, brother. Come get the
Yes, sir.
experience.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother.
All right,
guys.
talk to you later, man.
All right,
Wakanda
definitely. You
forever.
already know. Wakanda forever. BX, baby.
Yeah.
PX, baby.
All day.
All right, guys.
All right.
Peace,
One.
bro.
Peace. Yeah.
Peace.
Lunar Life Productions. Oh, somebody's at the door.